Hi, I want to go through today's lesson with you. We're going to pause your genetics project because we just kind of need to get all on the same page and figure out where we're at. So we'll just do that next week when I'm back. Today, what we're going to do is instead we're going to look at sending probes to other planets. And so this is kind of exciting. This week, NASA's got a rover that's going to land on Mars and explore Mars. So we're just gonna I've got some videos for you to watch about that, and then we'll have you plan a mission and design a mission to some place in the solar system that you choose. So everything's in this folder, Solar System Probe. If I open that, here's the directions, and that's the video that you're watching now. There's some Mars Landers videos. You should watch these. This first one talks about the lander that's landing this week, and it's kind of long. You only need to watch the first 12 minutes. The end of it is kind of him talking about his experience when he designed a rover. So you can watch that if you want, but you don't have to, but you should watch the first 12 minutes. Then this one is just talking about how we get things to Mars, how they decide where to land on Mars, what some of the things are they look for. This is how they land on Mars. And then this is how rovers are going to drive around, what the technology is for rovers to drive around. So those are all real quick videos. This one's the longest one, so maybe 15 minutes for videos. Okay, after you do that, then we've got a couple different ways you can get to it. One is a PDF that you could use Notability for. If you wanted to fill it out in Notability, that's fine. The other one is a Google Doc, and you can just fill it out using Google Docs. Because you're working with a partner, then a Google Doc might be easier because you can both work on it at the same time. At first, I thought Notability because I want you to draw a picture, but you can take a picture, you can draw a picture in Notability, screenshot it, and paste it if you want, or you can draw a picture on a piece of paper, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so I'm going to do it in a Google Doc here. And here's my Google Doc. So this basically just goes through some background. I give you some background information. And whenever a mission is planned, then there's some goals and there's some questions that we try to answer. And so any mission that goes to Mars right now has 4 goals. It has to meet 4 goals. It has to determine if there was life on Mars. It tries to figure out what the climate of Mars is, what the geology of Mars is, and we're trying to prepare for human exploration. So those are the 4 goals of missions that go to Mars. And then when they have their goals, they have questions. So each mission isn't gonna answer these things, but they're gonna ask questions and try to answer questions that fall into these categories. So here's some questions. What kinds of craters are there? Have the craters been eroded by wind or water? And these questions would just fall into those goals. So for this part, all you do is put an X or a check mark or whatever to say where you think it fits, where the question fits with the goals. And it might be more than one. If it is, just put 2 check marks in, whatever. But then over here, you have to fill out why you chose that. What was your justification? When we look at missions are 3 kinds. There's flybys, orbiters, and landers. We're going to assume that you're doing a lander, a rover. And then, the power supply. Here's a quick read about power supplies. So you can read that, and then you'll want that information in a little bit. Basically, power supplies are how your probe has the electricity, the energy to do things that it needs to do. And so things would be like solar power. They have nuclear batteries, nuclear power. They have fuel cells. So anyway, those are some examples of things, and you can find out more here. We talk about how they land. From the videos, you saw those things. We talk about sensors and cameras. Sensors and cameras just help them answer their questions. So depending what the question is or what the goal of the mission is, then they will have different sensors and cameras on there. So you can kind of see, here's some examples of some. Yours might have more, it just depends on, or different ones, it just depends on what you're trying to answer, what the question is that you're trying to answer. There's some tools that they use. So you saw in the video some of the different tools that the Mars rover has, and you can see the things that we've got here, just different kinds of tools. Okay, now the formatting on this is kind of weird because they did it differently, but you can just take out these blocks as you need and just type your answers in here. So what you and your partner are going to do is choose something in the solar system and then do some research about it and then design a mission for it. So the first question is just what object are you going to visit? Why are you going to visit there? What are 3 interesting facts about your object? So if you're using Notability, these lines, you could just write on these lines or type on these lines. Because it's a Word doc, these lines are kind of in the way. You can just delete them out and you can just put in your text in there instead. That's not a big deal. What object will you visit? Why did you choose it? What are 3 interesting facts? And then where are you going to land and why are you going to land there? What's your goal? Remember, for Mars missions, their goals are to try to determine if life existed there, to determine what the climate is like, to determine what the geology is like, and to prepare for humans. If you wanted your goals to be one of those, that'd be fine. If you think that a different goal would be better for your planet, that's fine too. And then your mission should try to answer 3 questions to meet that goal. If you have more than one goal, that's fine, but you should be trying to answer at least 3 questions for your mission. So this says, what's your goal? But you could have more than one goal. That's not a big deal. How will you make it get to the surface? So that's the sky crane, parachutes. You could use airbags. How will it move? What risks will it have on the surface? So like extreme temperatures, wind, radiation, weather, dust, anything like that. And then how are you going to protect your probe from those risks? The things that could cause problems for your probe, how is it protected from that? How will it be powered? And then this section here is just about the sensors. What sensors do you plan to put in here? How does each sensor work? And what question will those sensors answer? So you can see it's all written up here. So just how's it going to help you answer your questions? What sensors do you have? How do they work? What's the name of your probe? And then write a paragraph that's just going to describe your probe, including any features, anything special about it. And then this last section here is just your drawing. So you could take a picture, you could draw on a piece of paper, but your drawing should be labeled. It should tell me how big your design is going to be, measurements for how big you think your design is, and then label all of the parts for it. Colors would be good. You could draw it on Notability if you want. You could draw it on a piece of paper and take a picture. It doesn't matter for me. And then down here is the rubric, just the things that I'm looking for. So that's basically what you're doing. You shouldn't finish this today, I wouldn't think. If you do, you can submit it, but if not, we'll work on it again next week. If you have questions, feel free to email.